Oh, hello, people of the internet. Ian Altazar here, the Freedom Astrologer, again with another video. And again, I have a chart here on your left, I guess, and on my right. So this video is about the astrology of countries and predicting the future of countries. Maybe to start off with, the predicting the future kind of way of looking at it is one that needs some clarification. So future has many potentials. Just like in astrology, you can see where an area is affected in a person's life or in a country's timeline, and you can see certain potentials that are about to play out there. You can see the themes there that are about to play out there. But as often it is just a potential. So if a person makes a decision, the theme could still play out, but it could play out in a different way. So I think that's an important distinction to make, that future isn't set in stone. Future is always changing, always shifting, depending on the decisions we make and the decisions other people make. So, having said that, this is using the birth date of a country to predict the year ahead. So I live in the country called Estonia. It's a small country in the Baltics, and we just had our 102nd birthday, and I have the chart of Estonia here. So the hardest part in making this was actually deciding on which is the correct or the most commonly known time for the creation of the Republic of Estonia. So I did some research. There are about, can't remember exactly, I think there were about 10 different times I found in the span of 2 days. So the creation of the Republic of Estonia was, some say it was on the 23rd of February 1918, and a lot of people, like the most common date is actually 24th of February 1918, and one of the times I actually happened to find was 5:01 p.m. So, having this in mind, I did my best to choose this, and hopefully it is as correct as possible. And I think, for doing these event charts, or let's say you're predicting something with some not so well-known data of birth date and time, so it can get a little mushy or a little meaning you can't be 100% certain that it's the exact time. When, for example, you have a baby, you see the time, you mark it down, you have a correct time and date of birth. So, if you want to do countries and things that are started or have started in the past, it is a very important part of it is to get the date is as exact as possible. So if you can talk to someone, if hopefully if someone was alive back then or was at the event, you can get the date and action more accurately. So basically, the more accurate the date, the more accurate the prediction, the more accurate the chart. Or the more accurate the chart, the more accurate the prediction. Let's put it that way. So, I used 3 different kinds of predictive techniques. There are more. These are just, I picked them basically pretty randomly. I kind of like perfection. Perfection is a nice way of seeing which general areas you're going to be focusing on. Solar arc, I would say, is a good way of seeing bigger life events, exact squares, and there's a lot of stuff that can happen there. So I focused the most on perfection and solar return, and a little on solar arc as well. I didn't want to go too crazy with this. It's a good thing to see and to look out, to see what are the themes going on in your country, if you want to do that, or in the country you're at. Obviously it's easier to do when it's your birth country, because you're in there, you mostly know the information, some of the stuff that's going on, you know the themes that are going on in your country, so you can make better predictions, let's say. So, perfection. I'm not going to go into perfection, what perfection is. That's like I think that's like a 4 or 5 hour webinar, probably. And yeah. So I'm just going to share what I used and what information came out of it. So first of all, we're in 7th house perfected year, so you can see on the chart there which one is number 7. So that house is very much in camera unfocused. So come on, camera. Okay, there it is. So the 7th house, there's a lot of focus in the 7th house there. So, and also the rulers here come into play. So the rulers are the planets, in this case 2 planets that are ruling that specific sign. It's a bit of an astrological concept. If you're not familiar with it, don't really bother, you can Google, blah blah blah. But the most important thing you need to know, that the 7th house is affected, the 10th house is affected, and also the 12th house is affected as well, with the modern ruler. There's a lot of debate going on, modern ruler, traditional ruler. I use both, gives best results in my opinion. Both worlds, modern world and the traditional world come into more of a union. I think it helps when the traditions aren't completely forgotten, and the new information isn't totally disregarded. If we can, as humans, if we can take both and kind of alchemize them both, so the best information actually comes from that. So 7th house, what is the 7th house? 7th house is mostly relationships. It's relationships, it's partnerships, it's diplomacy, it's law, it's legal matters, among other things. But I think, at least knowing what is going on for Estonia, it's a lot of the focus this year will be on building relationships. It's also one of the houses actually that is associated with politics. So a lot of the relationships in Estonian government are pretty on the edge right now. There's a lot of conflict, especially between the president and the two parties that are in coalition. That means they have the majority in the parliament, and there's a lot of conflict there. There's a lot of extreme takes on life and laws and matters of state there right now currently. So that brings up a lot of conflict, that brings up a lot of tension with other countries. So one of the guys there, one of the leaders of the party, very openly criticized a person, or the Prime Minister of Finland actually, because she worked at a cashier actually in her past, and now she's a Prime Minister, which is weird in my view on life, because usually the past doesn't define you. Almost everybody can change, everybody can make new decisions, start new things with their life, learn, grow. And cashiers are very, very important for us as humans. It's very hard for us to buy anything if they weren't there. So it's a bit of a silly comment from his part. It doesn't make any sense. So this is just another, like a small example of what's been going on in our government. And the focus will be actually to balance it. 7th house is also balance as well. So when there's extreme views and point of views on things, usually doesn't really work out as well. Extremes are only usually good for learning that taking extreme stances on things doesn't work. You have to come back and start balancing your life. That's what the 7th house is all about. It's the natural house of Libra. It's about diplomacy and balance, and it's a different kind of approach needs to be taken here. Not only in government, obviously it has to be on the streets of Estonia as well, on the streets of, and with the humans of the people of Estonia need to start developing more diplomacy, start developing relationships with each other. That needs to happen. And if this diplomatic balanced approach is taken between people, between those parties, between the president, things start improving, sorry. And right now the ruler part comes in. So if you can see, the ruler is in the 10th house with the number, it's the box or the triangle type shape where number 10 is written in. And you can see there that the ruler is in that house. So it brings in the themes of the 10th house, which is social status, social reputation. It is career and stuff, but in this case, I think social status and social reputation are the most prominent ones. And if we understand that, if we can make those partnerships and bring in the balance in diplomacy again, especially in those leadership positions, government areas, I think we can improve. Estonia can improve our social reputation and status in the eyes of other countries and nations, hopefully. Because at the moment we're I think, in my view, we're taking too extreme views on positions and things need to be balanced out a little. Now, this is the part where I need to mention that part of fortune is also triggered with this perfected year, which is this. It's kind of a it's a circle, and there's a cross in it in the 7th house with the number 7. It's close to the sun. So this shows actually how a lot of joy and happiness and good things generally, like abundance and money as well, but joy and happiness and can come to if you're doing a reading to a person, then it's the person, but in this case it's a country, so we are speaking of the country in general. So this again speaks of having the approach, or Estonians having the approach of having partnerships with other countries, having partnerships and diplomacy with each other, working together is extremely important. And in that way, more good things can come for the country of Estonia and the people in it. What did I do? Wrote here. Oh yes, and so this is where I talk a little about. I also wrote an article about it, so you can read that. I will post a link in the description below. And there are so many let's say influences here. I'm going to talk about the main ones. So the sun is also in play here, because you can see the red line between the sun and the ruler Jupiter. This is what is called a separating aspect in astrology, and this means usually that it's kind of bringing in stuff from the past. So there could have been some sort of conflict. Square is usually a negative aspect, and it means conflict. And in this case, Sun rules the 12th house as well. So 12th house is hidden enemies, or one of the things it is, or symbolizes, it's hidden enemies. So one of the things here could be that the conflict in the government and between Estonia, or for Estonia, and with its partners, it is that there's something hidden that we don't know yet, and the conflict can be coming from even faraway countries, even very faraway countries, let's say. Maybe I don't want to say specific names right now, but there's faraway countries and there's very faraway countries. So it's just a matter of distance, basically. What did I write here? Oh yes, this is one of the difficult areas. There can be some not so good things coming from hidden places as a matter of conflict into those partnerships. Hopefully the next thing I'm going to say will ease this a little, because the second ruler, Neptune, is in the 12th house. It's in a positive aspect. That's a blue line here. And if the two rulers of the year are in a positive aspect with each other, that means usually good things, positive things. And what is Neptune? Neptune is healing. Neptune is dissolving. Neptune is psychics. Neptune is spiritual energies. And Neptune is forgiveness as well, although it would be a little maybe taking it too far to hope that the leaders of the country will start to suddenly forgive each other and start to heal each other, and that's maybe being a little too optimistic. But what did I notice here? And there is potential for this year to resolve this conflict, to be healing in a way, because usually when there's extreme viewpoints on things, usually that means there's some kind of pain or fear within these people, and this time the leaders of the government. And hopefully this sextile coming from the 12th house hopefully can be healing to the leaders of the government and in general for the people of Estonia. And some of the animosity and anger and pain can be healed. I would say it's a bit of a spiritual energy, and spiritual practices could be of use here. And by perfection, we're talking about the first technique here. By perfection, we're also seeing that the ruler Jupiter and Neptune are receiving positive aspects or blue lines from Mars in the second house as well. So that's good. So that means people should have the energy, should have the initiative, should start new things, should have physical strength to initiate and start those things that can help us, that can heal us, that can build relationships and build that new social reputation and social status for the country. And this is, although Mars is in a bit of a weak position, if you are a more advanced astrologer, it's in Libra, it's still giving positive aspects. It isn't super strong, but it helps. It's helping here for sure. Now I started looking at solar return. Solar return is a bit of a different kind of predictive technique. And predictive, this is the green symbols outside the chart. And this is where we start with the AC, the green AC. This shows the first house, and this will give again the ruler of the solar return year. So the most important influence for the next year. And if it's in the sign of Cancer, it's Moon. So Moon in the natal chart, in Estonia's case, isn't superbly well aspected. So this could bring, again, it's in the 12th house, in the second house, in solar return. There's oppositions there with Uranus and Mercury from the 6th and from the 8th house. This brings up conflict between, or crisis because of money, crisis because of other people's money, crisis because of, the stock market's money. And, it's here where I made the connection of we have a pretty big law change currently that's bringing up a lot of issues, and it's the pension reform. And this pension reform will bring more debate, it will bring more emotion. It's also in the 11th house. The 11th house is our retirement, our long-term gains and goals. So, and Pluto is too much money and a lot of money. So making this connection here, we can see, a lot of the issues revolving Estonia's pension reform and the new law, which basically is saying that every person has the right to withdraw their pension funds. I won't go too deep into it, but pension from the second pension, let's say, fund, let's put it like this, and it's causing a lot of emotional reaction, it's causing a lot of legal matter actions, it's against the constitution, some say, blah blah blah. So there's a lot of difficult legal matters, 7th house, there's a lot of financial matters that bring up tension, 2nd house, 8th house, opposition, 6th house, working class and impoverished people, So it's a bit of a difficult situation here. And hopefully the other stuff I mentioned before, like the positive stuff, can help with this as well. And yeah. And now the next part is the solar return stelliums and the solar return moon, which is the green moon here, green moon symbol on the outside. So this is more positive. This is in a positive house, in an angular house. It's okay, it's Pisces, it's kind of, it's a very psychic energy when moon is in Pisces. It's a very healing energy, but it's also very permissive and with no boundaries energy. And this is maybe, the bit of a difficult place. And there's Neptune there, you can see Neptune there. This all speaks of when I looked at this all speaks of actually again, relationships, partnerships, law, legal matters, but also the Neptune part is a little worrying for me, because Neptune can bring some disillusions, some distorting of the facts, Luckily it's in Pisces, so it's a very high octave, a higher energy of Neptune. So hopefully what this will bring, it will bring healing. Actually, it will bring healing for the people and the large groups of Estonians, and it will bring resolution of this pension fund and transformation, because it's Pluto there as well. It will bring a transformation of the pension reform that would be of benefit to the human beings in Estonia. And looking at this, I have a good feeling that it could be this case. You just have to be a little wary of the negative side of Pluto, which is, manipulation and power control. And in this case, it does rule the 3rd house, which is the media. So be careful of what you hear in the media. Do your research, and if you're in Estonia. And healing Pluto or transforming Pluto is a lot to do with deep research and surrendering, of course, but in this case I think deep research is better. So if you hear something from the media, maybe be a little wary of what they say and research on your own as well. Get dirty with the facts and understand the facts. I've been going on for a really long time now, and I want to start finishing this. Talked about the pension reform, talked about the money. I think one of the most important things to remember with this is the pension reform and the relationships in general between people and in the government. And there are three dates I picked out that can prove to be really influential and beneficial and transformational, and also they can show us new facts about the pension reform. Some decisions might be made about the pension reform during these dates. Again, I will post the link of the article in the description. So, first, Friday, the 5th of June, or a couple of days, weeks. Yeah, I mean, it could be a week or two before, a week or two after, but the most intense energy will be Friday, June 5th, Sunday, July 5th, and Monday, November 30th. So these are pretty important dates in 2020 for Estonia and for Estonians. So keep a lookout. A lot of decisions can be made. We will receive new information. Maybe shifts in the way things are moving can happen as well. And stay safe out there, as safe as you can. And hopefully this will give you an indication of what can be seen through astrology, and you can see themes in your life that are about to play out, and the things and areas to focus on more intensely during a year. For example, this is a very general yearly forecast. And this can be done for countries, this can be done for people, babies. As long as you have the birth data, meaning birth time, birth date, and birth place. These are all very, very important. As long as you have these, you can predict the future. So thanks for listening, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.